PM. You could stand for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So if you could establish quorum, please. Is everyone logged on to Word docs? Not yet. And yes, we want to be.
Shut it off
Shut
totally.
that off the recording. Mr. Wall is absent today from family emergencies. Okay. Okay, can I get a motion to set the agenda?
So. Second.
Okay. Motion to approve the minutes of the June 20th, 23 board meeting.
Hold on, set the agenda.
Sorry, we need to vote. Sorry, I'm gonna rush this meeting right along.
Yeah.
Sorry, Deb.
Good idea, Sherry.
Online voting is now available. I say aye. I'm trying to get
there we go.
in.
I'm just going what AJ's telling us to do. We're just gonna clean up this agenda.
Passes. Yes.
Okay. All right, so approval of the minutes from the June 20th, 23 board meeting and executive session.
I make a motion that we pass the approval of the minutes for the 29-23 board meeting.
Second.
Board, I just want to make sure you know, instead of making a second set of executive session notes, this is an approval for the board meeting notes from 6:20 that includes the executive session. And that's the way we're going to present them to you in the future. This is just different this time.
Thank you.
Online voting is now available.
I say aye.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, approval of the minutes of the June 28th, 23 special board meeting.
Have more to accept the minutes.
I'll make a motion. I got the motion. Hold a second. Oh, second. I didn't hear the motion.
It was me. Online voting is now available. How do you vote? Right? Oh, it logged you on. Thank you. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, moving on to reports, celebration reports.
It was a phenomenal session we had today. I think overload might be the best way to describe it.
Good. Spent part of the morning driving around to buildings and stuff just to see what was going on. There's a lot of sweating going on. So a lot of things happening everywhere. So,
Okay. Student representative reports. It looks like we have both of them out. So we will move on to the superintendent's report.
Madam President, I'd like to welcome Lisa Meagle. She's the Executive Director of Exceptional Services. Welcome, Lisa.
Hi.
She's hit the ground running. We've got her 2 days and I think we buried her pretty much in paperwork. Thank you. We worked on several projects this summer. Of course, the big one are the portable buildings. And just to be clear about the process, we submitted all the paperwork to the state back in March, and we got the approval to proceed July 7th. So Bert Ramsey's in there doing the concrete, and it takes about a week to do the forming and get everything ready. for Mesa, and then they're gonna move to Kemper, and then they're gonna move to Louis Ariola. But that means 3 weeks. So then they'll move back to Mesa, and the portables are here, most of them. And they will install the portables, get all the electrical hooked up, but you can already see that this isn't gonna make first day of school. So we're behind the ball again. And it's really that July 7th thing. There was a deal, there was a conversation back and forth about the freeze depth of our soil here. And that took almost a month to resolve. So we're behind. So they're here, everything's been ordered. The electrical Kemper was kind of a big deal. They had to order a new transformer, which would have taken a year, or they put in 2 new electric services over there, and those are done. And so we're okay as far as the electric service. The one at Mesa's done, so it's all right. We have to get a certificate of occupancy before we can put kids in there, which means the fire alarms have to be hooked up, the ramps in, and all that associated stuff. But then the teachers and maintenance, we can start hauling stuff in earlier than that. So we'll do that as soon as we get that clearance to actually be in the building. But very clearly, we're running late. And it's a function of the permitting. I wouldn't have thought that the permitting would take this many months, but it's taken months. As far as the structure over at CMS, play structure, we do have set engineering on it. They are working on it. We don't have any plans for that yet, but that's another one we'll have to bid out. And when I looked at that earlier, I figured 4.5 months from the time they came down and took out the fall structures, and I'm sure it'll be that far out. We met today with AJ Crable. If you have not seen him on YouTube, you need to look. He's pretty amazing. We had training for the board today. We'll have training for the administrators tomorrow. AJ will be our guest speaker at Back to School, and he's nationally known. He gave us his itinerary from last night, which included New York or somewhere, and then back to Chicago and all that, and he was hungry. So he used that as one of his springboards to demonstrate on different things. I'm not gonna be a spoiler for the principals, but it's gonna be some good training tomorrow. AJ was amazing.
Overload.
Christian Northrup will be here the 4th. He is doing our data for the 3rd. No, yeah, he'll be doing it 3rd. He'll be here the 1st. And he'll be working in the office the 2nd, preparing all of the data notebooks for the principals. We'll have data notebooks for them reflective of the student achievement from last year. And also there will be notebooks for each teacher that show the kids that they are getting into the classroom and what their achievement scores are in the latest testing. So that's student outcomes information. There you go. That was important. We are going to the CASE conference next week on the 25th to the 29th in Breckenridge, and join probably 3,000 of our closest friends. And it should be good. We'll have some breakout sessions for our own staff and attend their work sessions and learn a lot, I'm sure. I'm almost done with the application that is required by September 1st to submit to CDE to possibly withdraw our AU status from the BOCES and make our own AU. There's many steps in this. So the first step that we need to do is to accomplish this application. That just says we plan to do this. The next step that we need to get an outside audit to see if financially we are going to be okay and BOCES is going to be okay. I sent a letter today an email to Paul Foster asking for a list of people who could do that audit. I did suggest Lori Haley with Majors in Haley, as Lori has extensive knowledge of our school district. One of the pieces, two of the pieces that are probably already accomplished, but I want to make sure that everybody knows what everybody knows, is that I needed to attend a BOCES meeting, which we did in May. And then tonight there is a resolution, but what it says is we have open discussion and we talk about things that that we've seen, and even back to the independent audit of students' files that we've done in executive session. And we still have to keep that pretty quiet. It is work product for the attorney, and it is not a releasable piece of information. And other than that, I'm really looking forward to tomorrow. We're going to have data for the principal meeting tomorrow afternoon. We're going to do training with AJ Crable in the morning. Principal meeting, we'll have data. So we're back to student outcomes, and we will be discussing outcomes. It's
Like that word.
all right. Thank you, board.
Thank you.
Okay. The Executive Director of Student Academic Services Board report.
Good board. Well, in keeping with the theme of today, I'm going to continue to talk about some things that we talk about regularly, but again, keeping them on the front burner as far as always knowing exactly what we have going on, work that's taking place with our students. Because that obviously is our end goal, as we discussed, as our student outcome. So again, the report, I'm not going to go through everything in the report, but I will say, again, I continue to start with our strategic plan, which I feel like based on some things that we discussed today, we'll probably be reviewing and updating to make it a more robust, something more focused, and something that we can look to for our SMART goals, and really drive the work that we do on a daily basis. So I look forward to that. A couple things that I do want to touch on with you guys real quickly. Had a meeting yet again today with about 8 teachers. We're continuing to work on building our curriculum and pacing guides out. That work's not particularly fast, but at the same time, I'm pretty encouraged by where we're at. We're going to be looking at having pacing and curriculum, well, pacing guides for sure for both math and ELA as we start the year. I'm fairly confident I can say at least at 90% of our grade levels. There's some tweaking to do with other things, but that's something that is a job that's going to continue, and it doesn't just stop because the summer stops. That's going to be work that's going to continue on and on as we are reviewing, our standards and making sure we're covering them on a regular basis. Rating and reporting continues to be, this is going to take effect. I've been working with Darcy Davis to set up the parameters for elementary report cards. Because those will be new, at least for 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade, because it'll be more of a traditional report card with some things that we're used to seeing at our secondary levels. Again, the purpose of that was twofold, or maybe even more than that, actually. One, it's to help prepare our elementary students for going into secondary levels of school, where up until this point, students have been performing at elementary level and just kind of moving on, and not really, when they get to the middle school, it's kind of like these grades mean what? And not understanding that it's a cumulative process, and that everything that they are doing really builds towards their grade. So we can have but anyhow, so it helps with transitions, and it's also something that is more, I think, easily understandable by parents, and it's something that we can report on more frequently. And that's the goal, is really so that we have these progress reports throughout the year that are providing real-time data for our parents versus just waiting for the end of the semester to see what that report card looks like. So that's taking place. You probably have all seen our PD schedule, the calendar that's out for the beginning of the school year. There may be a couple of minor tweaks here and there, but by and large, that's what it's going to look like as we move into the school year to get things kicked off. So if you have any questions about that, again, keeping our, our focus on student outcomes, our assessment data, the state assessment data is coming back to us. As Superintendent Burst was referring to, we have some data that we're going to share with principals tomorrow. We will be getting that data to you guys as soon as we can. It's embargoed, so technically it's not something that we can share until after the State Board of Education verifies or ratifies that data for the year. And that takes place at their board meeting in August. And that usually, unfortunately, doesn't line up well with our board meetings, but we will get it in your hands as soon as we can with that. And there's some things to discuss about it. I'll give you one highlight that is something that we continually, I would say, struggle with to a certain degree in our district. And it's a big metric for accountability. And that's that we scored on both ELA and math well above the state average on participation. I don't want to share that number. We can't share that number right now, but it's let's just say it's what we need.
Perfect.
So it's
Okay.
very satisfying that we were able to get to that place. There'll be more, analysis and discussion of that data and all that comes with it for you guys as we go forward, but that's just kind of a nugget in where we're at. That's on these guys back here for working their tails off to make sure that everybody gets tested. And that's no easy feat. There's a lot of, we're dealing with our attendance challenges. That's a lot of chasing kids down. That's a lot of, oh, you're here today, let's go take this test real quick kind of thing. So my hat's off to these guys for making it. Last couple things I wanted to share with you. One, I have asked our summer school principals to give kind of a brief synopsis for you guys about how that went. Number of kids, whether we saw any improvement in those students as far as the metrics that they used, the number of teachers that participated, and some highlights about what they thought went well, and maybe some things that we might look to improve for next year. So anybody want to volunteer for this? Oh, Katie, all right.
That was nice part of volunteer.
We had, so Kemper had the RISE grant, so the ELO relief grant, which had, this was our third year in doing this grant, so we had specific requirements that we have to meet for the state. And that is, we have to have somebody trained in the Orton-Gillingham approach, and we have to use a program or materials that they call foundations. And it's just a literacy-based program. So we served 51 students. We did open it up to Kiva and Battle Rock as well. We have to open that for the grant requirements to our charters. But we only have 3 kids attend for Battle Rock and Kiva combined. We had 6 teachers, so 1 class per grade level. The requirements of the grants too, that stipulates that we have to have a 1-to-12 ratio as well. And we had multiple paras. We had a specialist teacher and then that intervention teacher, the specialist who was trained in Orton-Gillingham. We use DIBELS as a requirement of that grant, where we have to use their end of year DIBELS test score and then test them again at the end of summer school. We had inconsistencies in those test scores due to attendance. In the 5 weeks, we struggled with attendance. The bear dance falls into that. We were having kids being pulled for Bible school as well during that time. And so there's a trend that the kids that were there showed growth. The kids that were inconsistent, the growth was not where we wanted it to be. Do you have any questions?
I mean, did the kids seem to enjoy it? Like, or did you get some kind of like, they just really didn't want to be there?
No, the kids love it.
Okay,
And it's,
perfect.
they make it so fun. It's different and it needs to be different because those are the kids that struggle through the year and the approach. So they make it very fun. With this grant, it has to be literacy based. So there's time, we have to have like a 45-minute block. So they make it very specific with this grant. But they do science and math with literacy. And the teachers do a really good job of making it look different, lots of hands-on, just project-based learning, things of that nature.
Was it mostly Bible school that was due to the absences, or was it just?
I think 5 weeks is a long time with the summer, and I think there was vacations, there was a lot going on that contributed to the attendance.
I was just wondering if we could coordinate with the churches to.
Yeah, and I think Robert had, he's here, but Robert had made that comment, maybe along with that. But we were having some kids pulled and then parents calling and saying, don't let them take them, they need to stay at school. So I think some parents got on that. That's where the community is going to.
Good.
I'm trying to make it full, but we had a good turnout and we had a lot of teachers job shared. It was difficult to find staff that wanted to do the full 5 weeks. So we had a lot of teachers served during the summer school time, job sharing as well.
Is there a way we can get the data from the DIBELS?
Yes, we have to give that to the state so I can share this.
Okay, so that'll probably be back kind of in August or so.
I think I have that available now.
Would that be on Christian's sheet?
Okay.
Tom, would that be on Christian's sheet?
I don't know if Christian did the Devils. I think you have access to all the reports from Devils, right?
Yes.
If you can bring those next time, that'd be great. I'd love to
Thank
see it.
you. That'd be good.
Thanks, Katie.
All right.
Good evening. I think the high school summer school was pretty successful. We started out with about 67 kids who were attending. I would say by the end, 55 were really regular attendees. And most earned at least some credits. So we ended up with 49.5 credits earned, which is pretty good. Those credits were lost throughout the years for some reason, from the year, I should say. We had Study Island as the main programming that we used, and then teachers supplemented with, for instance, our English teacher had to read a whole novel, did some other work alongside of Study Island. For English and math and science, the program seemed pretty rigorous, challenging, especially English. Kids kept saying, well, this is really hard. There's a lot to this. Social studies, I felt like was sort of lacking. And I think we all realized that. So that was a growth point for sure, is how can we keep that up from next time and get more teacher involvement with supplementation and bringing in some more outside resources. We had 9 teachers and they pretty much were consistent throughout. At first, we struggled with getting core teachers who could teach the content that we were offering, but it ended up working out pretty well. We did have 2 PE teachers who were helping with the science and math, and that was okay. It ended up working pretty well. So they had a background in it. What else? I think the Study Island had a pre-test and a post-test built in, so you could see the growth from the class from the start to finish, and that was pretty cool to see. Some of the kids were extremely low in their pre-test, and then by the post-test, you could tell the learning had happened. And I have a binder back to school I had to bring with all the certificates that the kids earned. We could print their certificates and send them home every time they passed a course and earned their credit. So yeah, I think it was successful. Next year, I think we need to touch up on the social studies curriculum, get more involvement with the teachers, bringing in some supplements. 5 weeks was a little long. I think it could maybe be 5 days, can maybe 3 weeks long. I don't know, that's just an idea. And that way they meet when the last secretaries and staff leave, That also presented an issue when parents were still coming with questions. And then it was only summer school staff left and everybody else was gone. So just some ideas, but I think overall it was much more successful than I've seen in the past. And kids got more out of it. One cool part, our kids had a lunch break and a 30-minute sort of, you know, go on a walk or go do something to kind of get a break. And every day those teachers were like, huh, our kids just want to go back in the classroom. And the kids would be the first ones to go back in and we were just like, what's going on here? They were liking it. And some of our kids who were notorious roamers who just struggled all year showed up to summer school and really succeeded and were working hard the whole time. And we we're just amazed by that. So it really was successful for quite a few kids.
Good.
Any questions? Thank you, guys.
Good evening, board. The middle school was very similar. We had 75 students that we invited. Probably high 60s, those attended on some capacity, but we had 52 students who kind of completed what the expectations were set for the summer school, the middle school. We had 6 teaching positions, but same as them, we had 10 teachers that filled that. And that flexible scheduling for teachers was a phenomenal thing. We had a hard time in the past filling that, and we actually had to turn away some teachers. So that's a great option if we can continue to do that in the future. In terms of data, we used the STAR testing. It's kind of the only test that we use. So we used our end of year test, which should happen right before summer school started, and we used that last week. Unfortunately, I kind of saw the same thing. I think 5 weeks was a little long because we had a lot of kids that missed that last week. I think it was time for summer and they bailed out. But of the students who attended and took the test, 73 students showed improvement on their math scale score with an average change of 40 points from their previous assessment. So 40 points is, if you're familiar with, that's at least a year's growth on average. Now I said from their previous score, some of them didn't take the end of year score, so I just took it could have been the third quarter when the last test was taken, but there was substantial growth there. 77% of students improved on their ELA score with an average score change of 23 points. And when I say those average scores of 40 and 23, that's on a sliding scale, positive and negative. So some of the kids got negative and 23 was still the average. So that's really good improvement for those students. We're very impressed. One of the things that was really beneficial for us is that we implemented our retention policy and used summer school as kind of a leverage piece. And one of the most impressive numbers that we saw, this actually goes back to the school year. Last year, we had 1,230 failed classes in the 21-22 school year. When we implemented this, one of the expectations was F was something that qualified you for summer school, retention and those kind of things. And we had 627 total Fs this year. So we cut that number by 49%, which is really huge for what we're trying to get kids engaged and this kind of thing. So those are some positives. I agree the flexible scheduling is a great thing. I also agree 5 weeks is probably a little extensive. We lost in 3 or 4, kind of depending how we do those numbers. We were at the high school. We were very thankful for their willingness. We thought it was great to be able to share a building and do those kind of things. I know the custodians didn't love having us there, but beyond that, it went really well. Those are just some of our highlights. It was overall pretty well. So, great question.
Wow.
Thank you, Drew.
Thank you.
And obviously our other school was Mesa, and Robert can't be with us this evening. So I'm gonna let him, when he returns, share that information with you. It's very similar to what you've already heard, but overall a good experience. And I do think as we plan for next year, there's some things that we could look at for sure. Something that piques my interest would be if we could split it up and maybe do a few weeks at the end of school and maybe a couple weeks before school starts. You know, you're kind of priming the pump for those kids, getting them back into the school a little bit before. Anyhow, those are just some thoughts. And I know that we're already looking into the finances and how we can support that for next year. So I think this is an example of something that we need, and we need it on a regular basis so that we can continue to move these kids along. So,
Did you find that you had any disciplinary issues really at all?
We had
Awesome.
2 or 3 small ones, but
Okay, nothing crazy. Oh, wow.
That's great.
Okay, the last couple things I want to touch on real briefly in my report, and you can read them yourself as well. Going into this next school year, teacher evaluation itself changes a little bit. Not massively significantly, but what it does is, in the past, it has been a 50-50. 50% of the evaluation is based on professional practices, and the other 50% is based on something called measures of student learning, which is basically just data points that are taken from a teacher throughout the school year. New legislation has changed that, and the evaluation now is 70% based on professional practices, which is observations and whatnot, and 30% is based on data points or measures of student learning. So the emphasis goes more on the observation of teachers and the completion of the teacher evaluation rubric with our principals. The data points are still there, but they don't weigh nearly as much in the overall effectiveness rating of the teachers. So that's a change coming.
What would the reason for that be? What would the reason for that be? Why did they change
I don't have a good foundation on why that changed. There has been talk for a number of years. So originally, SB 191, which was the bill that initiated teacher evaluation for all certified staff ever on a manual basis, was roughly 2013, 2014. So there has been talk over the last few years of revising that, or at least updating it to a certain degree. And this was, I think, what they settled on. I don't know. I mean, we can all have our opinions about what it looks like, but it's definitely not as data heavy. So, although I would argue that if we're using the rubric correctly, which is the other half of the evaluation, that can reflect data as well. And at some point, if we want to, I can share that with all of you guys, and we can kind of go through what that looks like. But by and large, it really relies heavily on observation and feedback.
It put a lot of work on principals.
Yeah, that's true. Unfunded mandates, you gotta love them.
And it wasn't a popular.
Yeah.
Bill.
The last thing I have on my report is a couple of I think Deb and I worked on this a little bit, but there's a couple of budgetary things in there. Some programming. I just wanted to put that on your radar. One is, it's called Learning Without Tears. It's a supplemental handwriting program for preschool through second grade. So that they can help some schools. It doesn't supplant anything. It's just supplemental, so that we're seeing, as most people have recognized across the board, that handwriting has not always been the priority in the last number of years when it comes to instruction, and our teachers have suggested that that's something that we'd like to see back, and we've used this program in the past, so that's on.
Is it printing? Is that, maybe don't do cursive anymore?
Well, there'll be a component of that as they get closer to the second grade level with that, but by and large, it's going to be the construction of letters and just that physical act that really kind of escapes us a lot these days. So,
Mr. Clark,
yes,
that is in your board report, but also we were able to get it into the consent calendar for the finance consent. So you'll see it there as well.
Right.
And the other item that I have on there, it's called Common Curriculum Platform. And what that is it's a lesson planning platform that we could use K-12. And basically, it's a platform for teachers to create their lesson plans in an electronic format. They would be accessible by everyone, administrators, principals, and it's just a tool for ensuring that we've got everybody on the same page.
Like a template?
Yeah, there'll be a template in there based on that we can create based on our requests for lesson plans, and the components we've asked our teachers to have will be in there. And those will be electronically generated, submitted to principals. Principals won't have a pile of paperwork that they have to shuffle through to look at lesson plans. They can go in, do an observation, pull up the lesson plan for that class and have it right at their fingertips and know exactly what's taking place in there.
Does this work with Power School?
You know, I don't know if it works with Power School, but what it will do is it will combine with like all of our pacing guides and curricular work that we're doing. So it can all be housed in one place.
Okay, that was the main thing.
And the point is to work smarter, not harder. And, you know, we know that lesson planning is a big piece of this work and we need it to happen, but this is an opportunity to provide a tool for everyone to use that will be efficient and help us through that. And there's a lot of other benefits, whether it's backwards planning, common time for collaboration with our teachers, all those things that we need them to do for our students to be successful. So, yeah, student outcomes. It's going to be our new catchphrase.
Yes.
And that concludes my reference.
Thank you, Mr. Kerr. Anybody have any questions or anything? Okay, all right, moving on to Executive Director of Human Resources report, Cindy.
Good evening, board. During my absence, my assistant Carrie Hubertine has prepared a human resource board update. It's very short and to the point, and after today's training, that's exactly what it needed to be. I just wanted to update the board on summer maintenance that you are doing now as far as file maintenance, records management. We are going paperless and uploading and scanning documents into the payroll system housed in the HR section of ERs. We're also updating the HR portion of the website to include all of the job descriptions for each position that we hire. We're probably about 25% completed with that. But as we can, we're uploading and providing updated information there. Planning the health fair for open enrollment, which will be towards the end of October, with our insurance brokerage service and Anthem. And main objective right now is recruiting and retention. As you see the open positions file that is attached, it lists 4 ESS teacher positions, which Lisa and I will be working diligently to fill. And then the general ed positions as well. We made a good headway at the high school for a few positions we have left there this week. And we'll be presenting those on the next consent calendar. That is imperative for student success, is to have licensed teachers in those positions, and that's what we are striving to do. As I said, during my absence, Carrie has provided this update, and we will be reinventing this board report with a more objective focus on our outcomes in the future. Do you have any questions?
So the training, I see the trainer is on hold kind of.
Yes. We did discuss at the last board meeting the need for the athletic trainer position due to some on the health systems dissolving that position and the need that the board or the need that the district would have moving forward. However, 2 reasons, mainly Mercy Medical has initiated a MOU with the district to provide those services as we had in previous, and budgetary reasons as well. It hadn't been budgeted before. We were reviewing where we could come up with the money for this position. And when Mercy provided MOU, I do believe that we will be going in that direction. However, I do have a time scheduled to meet with the new CEO at the hospital and the human resource director. I think the week after next to discuss, that was their first availability to really meet in regards to having an MOU, or at least a doctor that this individual, that if we hired to report to sign off on, because that would be a requirement. That's why they need to be either under a doctor at a local hospital or nurse medical. It is on the consent calendar for approval. However, it's been updated and we received additional information there.
How many exit surveys do we have? I know you said we're gonna be getting them in August.
Carrie was unable to obtain those. I received 3 as of today, since the last time I reported them to you. And I will provide that information
Thank you.
in the next one.
Cool. All right, thank you, Cindy. All right, moving on to board reports. Anybody have anything?
Razzle that go day to day, so
Yeah,
it was a great training today and
We'll have regional meetings September what,
27th, I think.
27 in Bayfield.
Mhm.
So trying to put that on your calendar, it's gonna be important. I had someone from GOSA asked me to report on some different things, so it's going to, they're designing, CASB's designing our region to fit our region. So I sent in information that the different schools, different districts have sent to me and told me what they would like to discuss. And then I talked to Jude yesterday and added some more to it. So if, I think it will be better than it was last year.
Anybody else? Nothing? Okay. All right, we will move on to citizens address the board. All right, Nikki Crowley.
Thank you, board. I just wanted to share and speak as a parent of a graduated senior. My child graduated with 44 college credits. 31 of those college credits transferred. So that student is a sophomore in college. And I want to thank the school district and the high school for the flexibility that has been offered to students to really do a lot. But I'm excited about the 7-hour day at the high school, but I don't want that to also take away from that flexibility that has allowed students to load up their schedule to be able to help parents save money in the long run, whether that's for a technical certificate, whether that's for college, whether that's for an associate degree. That has made a large impact. And I just want to reiterate and remind, it's every student every day, and every student does have different goals. Every student does have different needs. So to continue to allow that flexibility for students when it comes to college credit, when it comes to summer school, when it comes to those kind of things, just to keep that in mind, even as we're looking to make adjustments to the schedule at the high school. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ryan Spittler.
Good evening, board, Mr. Burris. My name is Ryan Spittler. I live in Cortez, and I'm a parent here. And I'm here to speak to you tonight about agenda item G, the resolution for the Montezuma-Cortez School District to become an independent administrative unit, effectively ending services with San Montezuma during the 2024-25 school year. There's been very little public discussion by the district about this agenda item, and I question it becoming an independent administrative unit is really the best option for students and the district as a whole. If the district gets rid of its contract with San Juan BOCES, what is the district's plan to continue to provide all the same, if not more comprehensive, services to all the students in the district? Does the district even have a plan at this point in time? Has Mr. Burris or the board consulted with principals, teachers, or other professionals within your schools, including your charter schools, about what that change would be for them? Would the district have enough time to hire professionals to replace the BOCES staff by the time that the contract is terminated next summer? There are currently, I estimate, about over 30 positions posted online for hire throughout the district. Do you really think you'd be able to get several highly specialized and qualified professionals, be able to train them and create a new program to support students for the upcoming 2024-25 school year? Would you be able to be competitive in terms of salaries for these individuals, given the district already seems to have some financial hardships? Does the board of directors fully understand the roles and legal responsibilities of becoming an independent administrative unit without the support of San Juan BOCES? Additionally, becoming an independent unit would effectively terminate any rapport that those professionals and students have developed over time. These relationships could take months or even years to develop again. Before making any decisions to become an independent administrative unit, I ask that the board ask for more information about terminating its contract with San Juan BOCES and think about what it means for the district, but most importantly, what it will mean to the students here. Once the district has more information, it should be provided to the public, especially to parents of students, as this is a very large systemic change that would alter the way the district provides special education services. Again, I think you should be asking yourselves if this is really what's best for students in the district, and if you're willing to risk the well-being and educations of students in order to become an independent administrative unit. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. MB McAfee.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. My name is MB, and I also want to talk about item G on your action agenda for tonight. I know that there's a checklist and a timeline of everything that the district has to do. And I'm disturbed that this is all happening without any public discussion amongst you board members or amongst you board members and the public. This isn't the first time I've talked about this in this setting or with Mr. Burris. I have done my research and I can see from the CDE process that they do not include any discussion about having any public discussion in any of their checklists. Indeed, there's not any formal mechanism for public discussion. So the resolution that you're going to look at and pass tonight is a short one, and it's a done deal as far as your board's responsibility is concerned. This is an action that will affect either positively or negatively teachers, kiddos, families who have any relationship with special education. In the name of transparency and out of respect for all of our students and families, heck, out of respect for yourselves, why hasn't there been some open discussion about this in public meetings? Have you asked Mr. Burris for pro forma, a fiscal forecast of what it looks like to be in BOCES or out? I don't know what that looks like because either you haven't asked him or he hasn't shared it. I don't know, but I think it's a perfectly reasonable question to be asking. And maybe it looks good. We don't know. How do we know? We don't know. The public doesn't know. I don't believe any of you know either. So out of respect for yourself, it seems like you would ask that question among some of the things that Mr. Spittler was talking about. So there's no need from CDE that you do any of this. But trust me, an excellent board would go beyond what is required. Surely we can be an excellent board. Surely you can be an excellent board. Without any public discussion, the action to withdraw from BOCES underscores the prevailing evidence of groupthink that characterizes the board. This action shows total disrespect for teachers, kids, and parents. This action reveals the board's really almost total disregard for transparency, and it's vastly disappointing.
Thank you, MB. Okay. Okay, I hope I get this last name right. Emily Huminski? Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Emily Huminski. I am the Director of Team Up, which is our collective impact initiative here across the Southwest Colorado region. I am here on behalf of our Food Security Action Team, which is one of our collective work groups here in Montezuma County. And I'm here for two things. One, to ask if you all are planning to opt in to the Healthy School Meals for All program. And two, to voice our support for you all opting in to the Healthy School Meals for All program. The Healthy School Meals for All program, or HSMA to shorten it, provides funding for Colorado public school districts to serve free, nutritious meals to all students beginning this upcoming school year in September. Beginning in the following year, participating districts are also able to receive funds to purchase local food from Colorado farmers and ranchers, and to increase wages and provide stipends to staff who prepare and serve school meals. I think we all know that this is important because I'm sure many of you know that the rate of families who are eligible for free and reduced school lunches in our school district is 60%. Also, in Montezuma County, the food insecurity rate is 13.8%, where the statewide average is 9.9. So it's quite a bit higher. Additionally, we all know that students or families and staff who all are part of this program, the current program for school lunches is time-consuming, tricky, and can be quite a burden for both families and school staff who are trying to track down families to pay their lunch debt. I know in our communities, we do have quite a bit of families who experience lunch debt, and this is one of the things that would be eliminated completely in this program because families don't have to pay for school lunches. There's also a stigma with not being able to provide lunches as a family to your kids at school. That is unfortunate, but it is real. And additionally, this program would eliminate that because it would provide school lunches to every single student, regardless of their income. So to reiterate, the state of Colorado will continue to cover the cost of reduced price meals so families are not responsible for a copay. And HSMA will provide free meals to all students by covering the cost of meals provided to students that would otherwise pay full price. So it would cover all of those costs. So again, I'm here to ask if you are planning to opt into it. You have to make the decision by September 15th. And I'm also here to voice our support and offer support if you need assistance in that process.
Thank you. All right, thank you, Emily. Sarah Collins.
Good evening, board. My name is Sarah Collins. I'm here as a parent of a student that uses and utilizes the BOCES services in the district. My son goes to ABA therapy, and this year they have allowed that kind of therapy to be allowed in schools. And we were really happy about it because my husband right now takes our son to ABA therapy 4 times a week for 3 hours a day at $90 an hour. And that's $1,080 a week. So we're excited to have that service at school, only to find out that you guys are going to do without BOCES. So that concerns me if you guys are going to be able to afford for my son to stay in school all day and be an all-day student among his peers. When I went to call, the state capitol for Youth Day, I spoke with Barbara McLaughlin and Mark Catlin, and I had already spoken with them before about you all trying to get rid of BOCES. They told me they would look into it, see what they could do. When I went up for Youth Day in April, they let me know that they had called Mr. Burris up there to meet with him, and it was a no-go. They had told him no. So I said, good. I'm glad that that was spoken about and discussed. So I didn't, when I came tonight and I seen, you know, agenda item G, I was really shocked. Because like the others said, there was no discussion about it. You didn't ask us parents, you didn't seek public comment, you're just doing this on your own. So as a parent that has taken the school board to, or the school district to court and have 2 settlements with you guys, which I hope you guys do look into because it does include BOCES. I'd like everybody else to know parents like me do have ways out. There's Disability Law Colorado, which I'm a board member of. And if you need, I am telling parents like myself to start documenting everything that you can about what's going on, how the school's handling it, the services for your kid. And if you need help, you can call Disability Law Colorado. Their phone number is 1-800-288-1376. You can contact Native American Disability Law Center in Farmington. Their number is 1-800-862-7271. You can contact the ARC of the Southwest, and they're awesome. Russell's cool. 970-903-2095. And the Pinion Project has a special group that gets together every Thursday for parents to help them discuss about services and things available for them. That's every Thursday from 5:30 to 7 p.m. I suggest that these parents, you know, start, like I said, documenting everything. And if you need help, you can contact me. My name is Sarah Collins, and my email address is my name, Sarah, SarahDawnCollins@yahoo.com, and I'll try my best to help where I can. I'm also a Ute Mountain Ute tribal member, and I know that a lot of my community utilizes BOCES services. And I'm very concerned about my community, and I'm sad to see that my representative is not here tonight for my district, not only just for my tribe, but my district, to stop what's going on. And I'd also like you to know that I am one that also documents. So I am going to be holding people personally responsible if anything happens to my son while he's going through what you think that you guys got a hold of and know what you're doing. Because you don't. I don't think any of you guys know what it's like to have a child that has special needs. But you should ask a parent that does, because we know what we're talking about. And Mr. Burris does not. Thank you.
Okay, discussion item, let's see here, move on to discussion items, board discussion, A. Discussion.
I would like to make a comment. We received an email, the board did, from Dan Kaminga. He wrote an article and put
He spoke at the board meeting.
at the board meeting
Right.
and basically said that everything that Tom had said was not true. And he has since rescinded that, sent us a letter apologizing and saying that he wants to be part of the solution and not part of the problem. I was very appreciative of that because he did his research, saw where he had made his mistakes, and wrote us an email and corrected, in my eyes, corrected his mistake. So I'd just like to put that out. And I believe all of us received it, didn't we? So I just wanted to say that I really appreciate somebody stepping up and admitting when there's something wrong. So.
Anything else?
Just to remind the board, the financial piece with BOCES, there's about $1.4 million that comes from special ed money that the December 1 count. There's $300,000 that we spend with local visions that writes all the IEPs. And then there's about $325,000, a little less than that, that we spend on BOCES direct services, direct cash services. So that all comes to right at $2 million. And that's the pot of money that we will be looking at as we move forward with an audit. Can we sustain our services? This is not about kids in the classroom. The kids in the classroom are served basically by our teachers and our paraprofessionals. We have 40 special needs paraprofessionals that assist the teachers at all of the levels in all of the school. So we're already taking care of that. It's really the function of services like the school psych. Lisa is, Ms. Nagel is a school psych by trade, and she's also an administrator. So we're one step ahead there. Part of the recommendations from our audit were to get our own special services lead administrator. And that's been the important part of this. That's the piece that we had to come up with to make this thing work. And I think that we're going to be very well served with her knowledge and experience. And moving forward, we will take good care with kids. We've done
They're
that
the most
before.
important thing
Yeah,
we have.
absolutely. And we will provide the services we'll need to for kids. And we will oversee all those services and make sure that they're in place. So I'm not concerned financially. We, again, part of the requirements are that we do that financial audit that comes up. It's due October 1st.
You have shared this with us in work sessions, and
Right.
so I already knew that, but I don't know if I've shared with you, but I had 3 years of college in special education. I chose to move it to language arts and English.
Right.
And I also raised a special ed stepdaughter. So I do understand exactly what Sarah was saying. I do understand the isolation and the things that happen.
Mhm.
So we're not without experience, I guess is what I'm saying. My heart goes out to every special ed child there is. And that goes for gifted and talented also. When we say special ed, there's two ends of the spectrum. And we need to take care of both ends.
Mhm.
But right now we're talking about the low end. But the high end, when I was teaching, they did research, and the majority of the suicides were the high-end kids, because we were failing them so dramatically in school and not giving them the food they needed. So I want to make sure that we are servicing both ends.
Well, building forward, we have to come up with a gifted and talented coordinator for the district. Robin Lewis is moving that direction. She's part of the Grow Your
Part of
Own.
it, yes.
She's going to be starting those classes this fall. So in a year, we should be ready to be on top of that. And she's already on board, so that doesn't cost us any more money. Where we're going to be spending money is like more school psychs, more diagnosticians, and then do we need speech language and those kind of things. And if this is a situation that it does come to pass, we get out of BOCES, and there are people who are living here and want to go to work for us, we'll certainly extend that offer. And I just see this as a situation where we can oversee what we do with special ed. In my former position in Roswell, I had 2,200 special ed kids. I had, a full array on the staff, had every position you could think of. And they were all district personnel. And I had an assistant superintendent in charge of special services. So I have experience with navigating along with a pretty significant group of special needs kids.
I also read where the federal government's going to increase funding. I don't know if it's passed, but it's been presented. So.
We always have to watch that.
And I think a lot of this has been on the agenda for a long, long time. We've had discussions on and off of the agenda. I know we had a lot of discussion with our strategic planning, which was a year ago. So it's not like it's something that was just brought up tonight, like
Well, and
sort of insinuated
Sarah
there.
showed that, but she said that she's already been up and talked to our representatives and stuff quite a while ago. So it's been out there. People have known.
Right.
And they just needed to attend because we do most of our discussion during work sessions. So that's where most of it comes. Where it's.
And we had discussion with Paul Foster early on.
Mhm.
And we've also had discussion with the,
We went up and met Katie
yeah.
and Paul Foster when we were in Denver last spring.
Yeah, it was February, March.
Yeah, and talked to them to see what they thought.
Right.
And
Are you available for people to come talk to you on what you can talk about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
My thought on this is, I really like a lot of the comments that were brought up. There's a lot of good questions that were asked. This is kind of opening the door to get some of those, we're gonna have that audit done. If it turns out, hey, we can't run a policies, then what is there? If we can't do it, we can't do it.
stay with.
And if our students are gonna suffer in any way from it, then it's a dead end. There's no point in going further. If we can do it and be very successful with what we're thinking, then that is something that we really need to consider. And so that's kind of why I think this is on the agenda at all. Is, this is kind of a step in that direction to taking a look at that as an option. And like Sarah Collins said, you're not the expert on BOCES. Well, on ESS. Well, that's why we have directors that are. That's why we hired this vehicle. So, we leverage our resources as much as we can and as much as is possible. So.
Absolutely.
Off of that a little bit, Nikki, going back to your first comment, as a past high school teacher, I think the 7 period days only going to help that. As far as those opportunities for college credit.
Yes.
I wouldn't see where that would be any kind of difference.
I just don't want things to go.
No, we're not taking that away. In fact, discussion with you guys.
We don't, with the audience, we do it with ourselves.
Yeah, I did have a meeting with, couple of community college about the HVAC opportunity. After our whole fiasco with getting the HVAC installed in the middle school and Beach Street and what that's going to cost us, and talking to Nick at Comfort Air. Nick at Comfort Air said, I'll give you $30,000 if you can find me a tech. And that's, in Roswell, we did that and we found those techs. We made those techs with our students. And did you ever participate in Skills USA? Okay.
I know about it.
Well, we sent kids to Skills USA and one of them won national. It's like, and those are the kids that, like Sarah Collins was saying, not every kid is lined up to do what we think going to college or whatever. This kid was one of the ones that was kind of a troubled kid, but he got into HVAC and it was like, Katie, bar the door, here we go. So I think we're offering more opportunities to kids and we'll keep doing it.
Well, and I just I agree with what she said, is because, when my son graduated, he was also a sophomore when he went into college, and he tested out because of his credits and stuff, out of a French class and a language class. So, and he had a minor in French because of what we offered and what we did.
Yeah.
So I am gung ho. And my granddaughter has a certification. It's important that we take care of these kids and we meet them every way. And I'd like to have a further discussion at some point about the kids who graduate with all these credits who are not honor students. But that's another discussion.
Right. Okay. I own one of those.
One more thing. The healthy food program. I would like for us to bring that up and discuss it at our next work session.
Okay.
So we know what we're talking about.
We'll get that on.
I'm finished.
Okay. All right, moving on to BEDA notification of school board meetings.
Madam President, this is required yearly that we adopt this. It tells the public when we meet. And it gives all the dates for the next year. So that will come up as an action item at our next board meeting, correct?
No, we just need to let the public know.
Oh, it's just a-
when we meet. And the school calendar and the school board meeting calendar are attached to this agenda and the public section. And they're also available on our website. And our agendas are going to be posted out in the commons for people who don't have an electronic option. They'll be sent out on our press release line. They'll be posted on our Facebook page, or at least a link to them. And they will be on our board docs site, which is on our website.
Okay, so they'll have the calendars. Okay,
Yeah, the calendar is already up on several places on the website. And it's available if anyone just needs to drop by.
okay,
Perfect.
thank you.
Thank you, Deborah. All righty, moving on to action items. Action item A, softball field improvements.
Madam President, we put this on the agenda so that we could bring this to discussion and decide which way we need to go. So I recommend the softball field improvements.
Okay, I make a motion that we improve the softball field.
I'll second. He's getting Coach Frost real quick.
There you go. Hey, Coach.
Where do I stand?
Wherever you want, it's fine.
I invited Coach Frost in tonight. We had some input last meeting. We pulled this amount out of that motion to work on the practice field up at the high school.
Right.
We pulled the dollar amount out of it, and we had some input from Dave Robinson and Jarrett Watkins. So after the meeting, I called Coach Frost and wanted to hear a little more about what it's going to take to do this and stuff and what needs to be done. So I wanted him to come in and sort of address that a little bit with us.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, I don't even know what the dollar amount was. What was the exact dollar amount that we were looking at to fix our field?
43.
43.
I called a couple places, to have that place estimated. I mean, we do want our own field to call home because we haven't actually had a home field advantage in the past 7 years I coached. And $43,000 ain't even enough to give us the dirt removal or to remove the grass out of the infield. So, I mean, I think the thing what we want to look at right now is if we could possibly not worry about putting money in the field this year, but maybe next year, put more money into the field so we can get it completely playable. Or if not next year, then the second year, for sure, we do it. Because this year, we only have 4 home games out of 23 games. So it's our travel year this year. So next year, we'll have 4 away games and a lot more home games. But I mean, I would definitely like it if we could for sure, come to agreement that if we don't put any money in on the field this year, that we do it at some point. Because we run into the issue where we have league games at our field where it's decided by a forfeit or not by the refs because the other team does not want to play on our field and it's their forfeit. And my girls are good enough that we don't want to take a forfeit and rather beat you on the field and get a forfeit out of it. So I mean, our program is very successful in the past 7 years that we've been coaching. I took over, I think in 17. It was the first year Cortez went back to state in a long time, and we returned to state year after year after that. So, I mean, that would be nice to get our girls a home field advantage.
Was it last year when the softball team pulled together and did a lot of work on the field?
Last year, I don't know where the parents got the money from, but because last year we needed an infield redone because we could not, I mean, it was bad. You gotta have a soft field instead of a hard field to play on. So the parents got some money together and they did replace all the dirt in the infield. But now the situation we're looking at now is according to CHASA rules that we would not be allowed to host the regionals there due to the way the field's sitting. You need a 10-foot warning track in the outfield down the foul line, and that's just for the safety of the girls when they hit the gravel, the grass. That's a heads up to them that close to the fence. Same on the foul line. Our field right now, I don't know how it was done like that, but we're facing this way. So left field right now is 160 foot for a home run, which is not good. I mean, it should be 200 to 195 all the way around. But like, I mean, if you don't decide to put any money into it in the future, could we at least get the grass taken out of the infill? And I think there's, and the warning track, we definitely need a warning track, because we can, as parents, as coaches, we can actually adjust the infield to face it where it needs to be, because we need a 15-foot line from foul line to foul line for Chasso rules to host the regionals here.
Do you have that much room?
We have tons of them.
Oh, you do?
Oh, you do have.
If we shift it the right way, we could also get 25 feet on each foul line, which is even better.
Oh, okay. Would that move that outfield fence?
I would keep the outfield fence where it is. I mean, it's probably one of the biggest fields in Chasso to play on, which is a huge advantage, because you go anywhere else, you're hitting over 185 foot to 200 foot. We're at 215, which is pretty hard to push the ball over. So
Yeah.
And it helps us out. I mean, we got girls that can do it, but
Right.
so it's better to have that on.
But that one side is
160. So it runs to 160 to the foul line here, and then everything past that to the corner gate is a home run, which is, there's no foul line to that. So I have girls actually run and slide into the fence and get their feet up underneath it.
Wow.
That's dangerous.
So if you shifted it, you wouldn't have to move the fence at all, and you'd be at 200 feet.
No,
or
if we
210 or 215 all the way around, right?
Yeah, we just gotta actually take first base and third base and move it to the right about 15 feet, which we can do because we've already put in bases and pads there before they didn't mess with that.
Right.
I mean, that's something a dad and I can do in a day, like
Right.
during the practice, move the whole field. But then at the same time, we want the grass and because you know how the old baseball field has the grass to the dugouts, we want all that taken out. And then just the warning track in the outfield, perfect. But I honestly don't think that 43,000 is not going to take care of it, because we've actually got an estimate from a couple local people that said they wouldn't even touch it.
So have you gotten an estimate saying how much it would possibly take?
I actually talked to the True Blue guy in Durango that came over and looked at our field. He was looking at $86,000 to do the whole field, and that's putting dirt in, shifting the field for us, putting a 10-foot warning track on the whole outfield, and he was actually going to rip out all our grass in the outfield and actually make it level and reseed. He wants to resod it. He said it'll be faster. If they told us that if he started on July 11th, they would have our field ready by August 21st this year to have it going, which would have been awesome. But at this point right now, I don't think it's even worth, trying to rush and get something done over there. Because we got 3 weeks, because our season starts August 7th is when we hold tryouts.
Yeah, it wouldn't be worth it.
But like I said, I mean, if this is the only time we got options to get something done to our field, like I said, I mean, a scoreboard would be nice. We're only don't have a scoreboard at our softball field.
Does it even work?
They have one out there, but there's a code that no one has to run the thing on top.
I think the code is on there was a code on the.
Yeah, they tried it and it still hasn't came on. It won't turn on. So. And I don't even know if it even works. I mean, it's been there since I played.
Well, it worked in 2016. I know that.
Yeah.
16, yeah. So I know it worked.
Last time I played it was, I think, 97.
Yeah, but
But a new one would be nice.
yeah, a new one would be
Yeah.
nice. Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna be a small dollar amount, I know that, but I mean, if we could for sure, focus on maybe this year or next year. Because, I mean, our softball program's only getting bigger. I mean, it's getting bigger. I'm getting a lot of girls that are excited to come play for us. And we started out our travel softball team, it was just an 18 team. We got 18, 15, 18, 16, 14, 13, 12, and 8U that play under our program. And give them a place to play. I think it'd be great.
They like to be on a
So the
winning.
best option then you're thinking is to put the money into the field that we have at the middle school sometime down the road.
Sometime down the road would be great, because right now I got a group of freshman girls that are actually gonna really, I mean, they're probably one of the better younger girls that ever played. I think by the time they're juniors, they should have a home field. So, I mean, a lot of other girls missed out on it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, you guys got any more questions?
No, I'm glad to know that it's large enough.
Yeah.
You just need to do some.
Yeah, it's big. I mean, if you ever drive by the outfield, I mean, it's bad. It goes like this. When you're at home plate, you look at the right fielder, all you see is kneecaps. And the ball's getting out there, it bounces left to right, and the girls can't. I mean, our girls are used to it and helped us out a lot, but then when you get other teams in here, like Delta, which we always have butt heads with them. they don't try to take a forfeit over anything.
I think that's called a home field advantage.
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
But now we're kind of running into problems where we have prairie dog holes in the outfield.
Prairie dogs?
Yeah, we fill them in every day before practice, come back next day and there's more out there.
Okay.
But like I said, just something to think about. This would be a one-time thing. I would like, the grass moved in the infield and a school board maybe, and we're gonna try if that's possible. If not this year, then a whole new field for the Wilsons next year, but maybe for sure 2 years. So.
Yeah, okay.
Thank
Okay, well, thank you so much for letting me know. Yeah, giving us some insight on all that. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So we don't have,
Don't have any numbers.
our finance person here, so we can't do anything.
Right.
So can I, amend and retract my motion?
Should make a motion to postpone it. So I can make that motion, move to postpone this item of business until next meeting to get some other information on it.
Then I'll second it.
All right.
Can we do that with the motion on the floor?
Yes,
Okay.
that's a main motion. It's priority.
Okay, did you get that, Dan?
I did. Don't know if it's gonna look that way on your screen, but yes, I got it. Thank you.
I'm
So
not
just
getting
moving on.
anything.
Okay, so we're not going to vote on that to postpone.
We have to vote, yeah.
Okay, sorry. I was kind of like, did I miss it? Did I miss my?
No, that was,
Okay,
online voting is now available.
okay.
And we're voting on postponing, correct? Okay,
It's
Just for the motion.
Okay.
yeah, I was trying to, I can't see that part.
Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Action item B, donation from Lower Foundation in the amount of $1,854 to East Street Preschool and for staff and student apparel.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the donation from the Lower Foundation for $1,854 for Beach Street Preschool and staff and student apparel.
I'll motion to accept the donation from Moore Foundation.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, action item C, adopted budget
Thank you, Nikki.
revisions for 2023-2024.
Madam President, I recommend we adopt the budget revisions for the 2023-24 school year as presented from Melissa Brenner.
I make a motion that we adopt the budget revisions for 23-24.
Second.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item D, revised appropriation resolution fiscal year 2023-2024.
I'd recommend that we approve the revised appropriation resolution for 2023-24 year.
I make a motion that we approve the revised appropriation resolution for the fiscal year 2023 through 2024.
I second it.
Be it resolved by the Board of Education of Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1 in Montezuma County. The amount shown in the following schedule be appropriated to each fund as specified in the adopted budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2023 and ending June 30, 2024. In the general fund, 21,266,588. Technology fund, 175,000. Pupil activity fund, 765,255. Insurance reserve fund, 230,000. Preschool fund, 788,500. Special revenue funds, food service fund, 1,152,600. Government designated purpose grants funds, $12,651,083. People activity special revenue fund, 400,000. Bond redemption fund, 1,425,000. Capital reserve capital projects fund, 1,175,000. Risk related activity fund, 3,553,000 for a total appropriation $43,582,026. Adopted this Tuesday, July 18th, 2023, Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1.
I'll make a motion to accept the revised.
You've already got it.
Yeah, we've already done
Good.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item E, revised resolution to the use beginning fund balance for the 2023-2024 school year.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the revised resolution for using the beginning fund balance for 2023-24.
According to CRS 22.
I make a motion that we pass the revised resolution, use beginning fund balance 2023-2024.
Second.
Thank you.
In accordance with CRS 22-44-105, the Montezuma-Cortez School District Board of Education authorizes the use of a portion of FY 2023-2024 beginning fund balance for the following funds. General fund. Expenditures revenue overall, $2,741,659. Spend down fund balance, 5,000. Insurance reserve fund, spend down balance, 50,950. Food service special revenue fund, 57,900. Government designated purpose grants fund, spend down fund balance, 234,609. Capital reserve capital projects fund, 1,500,000. Risk related activity funds, 47,000 for a total appropriation of 4,637,118. Whereas CRS 22-44-105 states that a budget duly adopted pursuant to this article shall not provide for expenditures, interfund transfers or reserves in excess of available revenues and beginning fund balance. Whereas the Board of Education may authorize the use of a portion of the beginning fund balance in a budget stating the amount to be used, the purpose for which the expenditure is needed, and the district's plan to ensure that the use of the beginning fund balance will not lead to an ongoing deficit. Whereas the Board of Education has determined the beginning fund balance in the state of Colorado are sufficient to allow for one-time expenditures, and the action will not be an ongoing deficit. Now therefore be it resolved in accordance with CRS 22-44-105, the Board of Education authorizes the use of the designated amount of the FY 2023-2024 beginning fund balance for the following funds. If further resolved, the use of this portion of the beginning fund balances for the purpose set forth above will not lead to ongoing deficits in the funds.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay. Action item F, personnel consent calendar.
Madam President, I recommend that we approve the consent calendar.
Make a motion that we accept the consent calendar.
Second.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item G, the resolution for Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1 administrative unit, end of San Juan BOCES services.
Madam President, I'd recommend that the board approve the resolution for Montezuma-Cortez School District to end services with BOCES as of 2024.
The motion,
I'll make the motion to approve the resolution.
Second.
Resolution for Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1 to become an AU and AU services with San Juan BOCES. Whereas on July 18th, 2023, Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1 Board of Education affirms their interest in becoming an independent administrative unit to be effective July 1, 2024. Be it further resolved, we, the Board of Directors of Montezuma-Cortez School District RE-1, hereby decline administrative unit services under San Juan BOCES effective July 1, 2024. Approved and adopted this 18th day of July, 2023.
I know that we've heard a lot of discussion on this tonight. I feel like we have done our research and have asked the correct questions. So I just want to say that the state will review it and let us know.
I still think there's a lot more research to be done, and I think we're in the process and we're gonna make sure we're doing it. I think if there's a chance that we can do a better service, then there's no reason ever to not look into that. And so I think that's what we're doing.
I think we need to look what's
Like
best for our kids.
We need to look at what's best for our kids. We have a lot of questions to ask still. Most of these have been asked before, and there's reasons that we're pursuing this. And so I think that I think we're working hard at doing right by our students. And I think we still have a long ways to go as far as making sure more of these questions are answered.
And I know the state will ask us hard questions.
The state,
So we are going to have to.
we'll have audits done. So it's still a heck of a long process. And if at any point it is determined that we cannot provide the best service for our students, then it's a dead end already. There's no point going further.
Correct.
If we find that we can really do well by our students and create a really good program, there's no reason we should not. So.
I agree.
Okay. No question.
Online voting is now available. So do we able to vote? There, sure. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item H, Pleasant View Charter School Purchase Service Options Agreement for 23-24.
I have a question before we make a motion. This goes to Mr. Park. Are all of these service agreements the same? I guess what I'm saying is, do we need to vote for them individually or can we group them?
They vary depending on the services they select.
Okay, so we have to do it individually.
Yes.
All right, thank you. I make a motion that we accept the Pleasant View Charter School Purchase Service Agreement for 23-24.
I'll second. So to your point, when we were talking to AJ earlier today, these are things that would have likely been put on a consent agenda, right?
Right.
And so we would have been able to approve all three or all four at once. Is that,
Along
Yeah.
with the personnel, yeah.
okay, so going forward, that's gonna be what we're gonna be doing,
Looking at exactly that.
unless there's a very relevant reason why we should.
Right, yeah.
Okay,
Be a D or an M.
good.
I'll prepare it that way. So I know that that's-
Thanks, Deborah.
Agenda.
Online voting is now available.
Oh, yeah, no kidding.
With Rachel, were you able to vote?
I'm up. Yes.
Thank you. Motion passes unanimously.
Action item I, Children's Kiva Montessori School Charter Purchase Service Options Agreement for 23-24.
Madam President, I recommend the Kiva Montessori School Purchase Service Options Agreement.
I make a motion that we accept the Children's Kiva Montessori School Charter Purchase Service Agreement for 23-24.
Who was the second one? Online voting is now available. Mr. Fraser, how do you?
Yes. For some reason, it's decided not to.
It's okay. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you.
Okay, action item J, the Battle Rock Charter School Purchase Service Options Agreement for 23-24.
Madam President, I recommend we approve the Battle Rock Purchase Service Options Agreement for 23-24.
I make the motion that we approve the Battle Rock Charter Purchase Agreement for 23-24.
Second.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, action item K, Southwest Open School Charter School Purchase Service Options Agreement 23-24.
Madam President, I recommend we approve the SWOS Charter School Purchase Service Options Agreement for 23-24.
So moved.
Second.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
Okay, action item L, Colorado Association of School Boards membership for 23-24.
Madam President, I recommend approval of the Colorado Association of School Boards membership for 23-24.
Mr. Burris, can we add the amount to that? It's $13,733.
$13,733, okay.
I'll make the motion to approve this. Second.
I recommend that you think long and hard about this and think about. It doesn't have it on here, the services that they give us for $13,000. I'm a CASB director and I guess my question is, do they follow our beliefs? Do they vote the way we want our votes to go? Granted, we have spent, but when we did our policy review that we're going through, we had to pay for that. Is that not correct?
Yeah.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not saying to vote for it or not vote for it, but I'm saying that you need to do some soul searching.
Do we not need to be a member in order to have them continue to do our policy?
No, we have to pay more if they do it, but we've already contracted with them.
Yeah, I think we've already done that. I think now, the yearly fee that will incur now.
They
$2,000?
Yeah, last year was more, it's the first year, and then it goes
Right.
down to like 200 for policy maintenance.
Okay, so would we pay more for policy maintenance if we are not a member?
Probably 13,700.
I would tell you,
Plus the two.
it hasn't happened yet, but one of the things that's coming up is to raise our dues.
Without us voting on
It has not come up yet. It will be, I don't know if it will be at our October legislature or if it will be at December CATSB.
So will it not be this current amount or will it go up from this current amount?
It could go up from that current amount. I love CASB. I've been a member of it and I've been a director for years.
Would that remove you as a director from their?
I'm removed as a director in December anyway. But it would remove anybody else going forward. You have to be a board member. And I have made up my mind if I'm going to rerun yet or not.
When are these dues due?
We received this invoice 2 months ago, but I was told by CASB it's because somebody went on a vacation there, so they sent them out early. They weren't expecting us to pay till July. July is where we have paid that the last 2 years, and it comes out of the board's operating budget.
And here I see it say date required is 7/28.
Now, then one of the things that they offer, I'm trying to give you guys a full picture is, and I utilized it, and I think Sherry did, their lawyers. If we had a legal question, we called the lawyers there and they did not charge us because we were members. So we haven't utilized it since we have received our new lawyer, since we've started working with our new lawyer, but
Yeah, I haven't utilized it at all except for policies.
so just, but that is an option that we have. If we're a CASB member, we can call their legal department and get the information we need. And they also update us when the laws change.
Right.
They
That's
will
part of
send
the
us,
services. we are-
they'll send us the policies
Yeah.
and update us. We will lose that. Will we not? I don't think-
We shouldn't with that $2,000 maintenance a year. That's exactly what
Okay,
it's for.
so
Yeah.
we should not lose that. Okay.
Right.
Do you think this will void our $2,000 a year maintenance?
I don't know. And
I think that's a valuable question.
it is a valuable question. If you want
Because
to,
we need that.
if you want to table this till next time, I'll find out. If you want to, whatever way the board selects to go.
We can, I know that they're not going to kick us off if we don't pay it by
No,
July
July 28th.
yeah.
They do have people joining later, but I
Meeting on the first work session, all right, so
Yeah,
the 1st of August.
well, no, we could, then we make a motion to stay in it if it voids our 2,000 maintenance. And then we'll just find out in July if it does. I don't know, you're the parliamentarian.
I think all these things pretty wide open if you're gonna put an if in there with
Yeah.
not, you can do that, so.
You know, I
it's not
don't,
really a motion.
I don't know, you know, I'm trying to lay it out to where you understand exactly where you're going with it.
So how much does it go up if you, join later?
Yep, it's the same.
Same amount?
Yeah, they won't ding us.
So you have a choice of tabling it and giving the information that Tom said, or not voting for it now, and you
Yeah.
can always join later.
Yeah, because
But I think there's more that you need to find out.
Mhm.
because it's late coming out and a lot of boards don't meet through the summer, so they won't say anything.
Yeah.
I think we really need to, you're off of it now, Terry. But I think we really need to try and do our best to have representation on the CASB level. Just because they are meeting with senators, they are lobbying for
They do.
us. And
And Matt's been great with us.
it's hard enough with rural support, without, I think we really need to step up more with that kind of thing. And just get another.
Rural Alliance, you work, you go on those meetings with Rural Alliance but they work hand in hand with you. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not being an advocate to get off, I'm just giving you facts.
But can you still attend the meetings if you do not belong?
No,
Not at all.
well, yeah, for a fee, a big fee.
As a non-member,
As a non-member, you can
probably
join.
double of what, like if you went to the CASB conference,
It'd be double.
it's probably double of what a member pays for the
I think we
registration.
find out.
Um. I guess.
And you can't vote. If you go to their meetings, you cannot vote. You're,
Right.
That's
Okay.
understandable. But, and on the other hand too, we have a good lawyer. We don't have to depend on theirs where we are now.
right,
Correct.
When it was presented to CASB last year by a lot of districts and stuff to withdraw from NASB,
they chose not
they
to.
chose not to because there was no alternative, and we'd be in the same boat right now as CASB. There's no other alternative
Right.
with that. Right now, there is for NASB. There is an alternative.
Yes, but they're not willing to work with them. They're not willing to join it, even though it's the Western.
CASB's not going to.
CASB's not willing to join it, even though it's mostly Western states.
We can postpone this on the business till our next regular meeting.
I agree.
So we're tabling the motion?
Until our next, until our, yeah, we need to vote on it, but until our August meeting.
I believe first line.
So we're voting on tabling it.
Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously. That item is tabled.
Okay. Action item M, finance consent calendar list for 7/18/23.
Madam President, I recommend we approve the finance consent calendar. 7/18/23.
I'll make a motion to approve the finance consent calendar list.
I second it. We can't discuss it.
True. Online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously.
So now we have our action item policy first reading consent list 7/18/23. For you to review for first reading. There's no vote on that. And
Question I had on that, was page 4. On relationships and stuff between administrators and staff and stuff. To me that. We have that happen quite a lot, where we have somebody step into an administrative position out of the building, that they have a wife that's also a teacher in the building or something too, so. It seems like we're sort of contradicting there on some of that. So, I mean, this is insinuating that it starts after they get. I think it has to be, I don't think. But the HR figured that out.
Yeah, question.
It's not a question at this point, just that section right there is what it talks about relationships between, it says between the person that's in an administrative or supervisory position and is in a relationship with somebody that is like one of their employees. And what this is referring to is if that happens after they're already in a building, I'm sure is what it's doing there, but just like the case of Mr. Chandler, I mean, he had a wife that worked in the building too, so what does that, do to that paragraph in there, I think.
I think it more specifically means that they report to that person. Ultimately, as administrator, it will be changed directly report.
Well, we've had upper level administrators and spouses working as a director. And they changed who they reported to the eval, but it was still a direct supervise. So we need to be careful what we say and how we say it.
So if you're, another thing, this is moving on to student member of the school board. I don't know if anybody knows this, but how many members are there on the government, high school government group?
I don't know.
Would
I
that
think
not,
it varies each year.
would that not be where we would get someone that's a student member on the board? It can just be anyone who wants to come and do it instead of like the student government. Because the way I envision it is you would get student government, they're very involved. They do Robert's Rules of Order, they learn all of that kind of thing, and they would elect someone to represent on the board. And then they would report back to the entire, the government, the school government. And so I kind of envision a representative from that committee there.
We've had it both ways. And
Why wouldn't we do it that way?
because we didn't have anybody from student government want to come and be our representative.
Well, they get elected. They get voluntold.
Yeah, well, that means that they usually don't show up or do their job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's how we turned it to where if you're interested, talk to the principal, and then the principal outlines. Do they write a letter? How do they come about?
do we not
Are
have
they
a
a good
policy? I think we have,
representative?
yeah, that's the
We need
policy.
a
So do we
policy.
need to change, you're wanting to change the policy?
My intent would be to try it through the student government first. And if we can't get anybody there, then we open it up. But I would really like to see a representative from the high school student government, middle school student government. And I think they would serve. I wouldn't understand if you're already volunteering and putting up so much time and effort into learning student government, why would you not want to come to the school board?
Maybe it's because of scholastics.
It could be, yeah.
I mean, we had before, Monica,
Yeah.
I think Avery, wasn't she on student government? And I mean,
And
she
in
missed some
honors as
meetings
well.
and she was in honors. She missed some meetings because of her scholastic reasons.
And she was a valuable asset when she came.
And I don't know that honors some student government. But she does know Robert's rules.
Sure.
Um. Does the middle school have student government?
When Amita was invited, it was because she was active in the classroom and things like that, because there wasn't a student government. I have sat in on high school student government meetings as a lower rep to hopefully maybe help them out on some stuff. And it's not as formalized as I think a lot of student governments are. And things like that. They do elect officers through the school and stuff, but it is, you know, who's available at lunch to come to a meeting and things like that. And that changes based on if you need to meet the teacher or whatever that looks like. So it might not be as formal as what
Well, yeah, well, say
student
that,
government or STUCO, student council, things like that used to look like in the 80s, 90s, 2000s.
Sure.
I like the way it is. I understand what you're saying about student government, but this is any interested student, so they can, if they're in student government and they are interested, they can still apply and come to us. It pertains to the principal on their attitude, their scholastics and things. So it's, I kind of like it the way it is. Just because they still, it doesn't matter if they're in student government or not, they have the ability, any student. And sometimes it takes a student to step out.
Any more discussion on any of those?
So that was my only one.
Okay. All right, action item O, policy second reading, consent list 6/20/23.
Madam President, I recommend we approve the consent list for the policy second reading. And this gets us to the point where Deborah's going to be able to work with Kathy to get them online, right?
Yeah, Kathy is auditing what I submitted this week. And they say 3 weeks, the third-party vendor will have them up on a website for us. So
there's another advantage for being with Caspi. So that's.
But that's the question. Since we pay that $2,000, I think that's part of the deal. That's separate from your members.
Let's make sure that
Yes,
non-members can still participate, but yeah.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we accept our policies for second reading as listed.
Second.
online voting is now available. Motion passes unanimously. And personally, it gives me joy because that was the end of.
I do have one other thing to.
Is it on the agenda?
That's the end of the, just because we asked a question, about the CASB versus, member and non-member. I looked it up. For the delegate assembly in December, the member early bird is 400
For the non-member.
and the non-member is 600. So it's $200 difference. For the reception, it's $10 difference. It's at $65 versus, no, it's the same, I'm sorry. So just for, it's $200 difference. And it's.
And you get all the other
Yeah,
things except for voting.
yeah, the virtual delegate assembly, they say to be announced on, so I don't know.
Now that's going to be where and I'm stepping out of line here because I missed the last meeting. But my understanding is that they're trying to do that so that when we vote, we don't have to be at that place. We can, because like us, it's a full day's travel. And a lot of people cannot afford to take off more. Or the school district can't afford to pay them to get up there and get back. So they're doing it from home.
And that was passed last year's resolution.
It was last year, yes. And they said they couldn't do it because of the technical stuff, but when I talked to Jude yesterday, he said he thinks they have it worked out.
They had that delegate meeting last year. It was like it's a month before the meeting in Colorado Springs.
Yeah.
And so a lot of small districts just don't go because
Yeah.
they can't go there for that and then turn around a month later and go back.
Right.
So,
And then the December annual conference that they hold at the Broadmoor. Members, $700. This is early bird. You buy them before September 22nd. And non-members is $1,000, so they're $300. If you walk up as a non-member, it's $1,750. Walk up as a member, $900. So it's about half.
Now then, if anybody's interested in running, if we decide to stay and you want to run, you're free. It doesn't cost anybody for me to go except for the member of the board. The delegate assembly, the legislation assembly is October 6th and 7th in Glenwood. And then the December conference is December 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th. But for everybody else, 7th, 8th, and 9th. So Deb, when you make reservations, I have to be there Wednesday for meetings.
We are moved to the delegate assembly, Ferguson yourself, and then I just booked everyone and the executive team for the district or the regional meeting at Bayville.
Okay.
And we will start talking about the CASB convention the next few weeks. Because of the early bird pricing.
Right, and I need to be there a day early.
And you were free for the delegate assembly and for the district regional.
Because I'm a board member.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.